You're watching ChillyBoy Productions. I'm Larry ChillyBoy Chilson, and this is my review for Flea. Before we get into this review, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below so that you can chill with me on each and every one of my new videos. So Flea was a special presentation at the 44th Annual Denver Film Festival and actually served as the final film to show in person for this year's festival. So once again, thank you so much to Denver Film for allowing me to cover this year's festival. An amazing time over these 12 days, seeing the very first film shown in Spencer all the way through to the very last film shown with Flea. Now, Flea is a 2021 animated documentary that follows Amin, a successful academic from Denmark who relives his time as an Afghani refugee. In his early life, he must reconcile with this haunting past in order to move forward in his life with his longtime boyfriend. Flea is one of those films that has been getting a ton of buzz. I believe it debuted back at Sundance, and ever since then, I've been hearing about this film. I've been seeing the images. I knew it was LGBTQ related and about a refugee. Really, the most identifying factor was that we were getting an animated documentary, which is pretty amazing because I do believe there are some out there. This was the very first animated documentary that I had seen. Ultimately, I think this is a really, really strong film. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. Well, in regards to that animation, I think the concept and why animation was utilized was actually quite groundbreaking when it comes to keeping your subject anonymous. There's an important story to tell when there is something to be said, but saying it might put people in danger. Using animation allows you to get these stellar stories out that need to be heard, that deserve a voice without putting anyone at risk. And it worked beautifully for this topic. I also love that we intermixed a lot of the animation. I would say about 90% of the film is animated with these little spurts of live action footage from those times, from those places. And it really worked well for me. Oh, and Amin, which is not his actual name, once again, in order to keep him anonymous, story, one that needs to be heard. We always talk about how things are just as relevant now as they have ever been. And this story of a refugee, of immigrants, certainly fits that bill. It's always been relevant. The process of being a refugee and having to flee your country is something most of us, including myself, have never had to really face to face. You don't have to deal with those consequences and don't really truly grasp what it means to flee. And this story is one of perseverance, one of heartache, and a lot of pain and a lot of strength. And it definitely needs to be heard. I think it's a story that will help you to empathize with people that are not like you, that are not from the same place you are, that are not from the same background that you've come from. Add on to that, there's that additional layer of him being gay, coming from Afghanistan. He says in the film, they didn't even have a word for homosexuality or gay when he was growing up in Afghanistan because you just didn't come forward. There were no gays in the country because it wasn't accepted on any level. So you stayed hidden. So to add that extra hidden identity on top of the hidden identity of being a refugee made for a really, really compelling story, and one that I'm so glad we were able to experience. Plus, the idea of animation in a documentary setting allows for it to be pretty much just this man telling his story. It's basically a story time, if you will. But instead of just a normal talking head, multiple people interview type of documentary, we're being shown all of this art and all of these different scenarios through a new medium. And I think that definitely makes it a special documentary just for that alone. So then, what doesn't work so well when it comes to Flea? Well, my biggest issue with the film is the animation itself. As you heard, I love the concept of an animated documentary. I love how it's utilized and what it stands for in this context. I would love to see more documentaries become animated. However, this was very rudimentary looking animation by and large. I understood the aesthetic to a point because it is a documentary. You want it to feel a little rough around the edges. You want it to feel a little lived in, a little unfinished to give that documentary style to it. However, this had like whole multiple frames missing. Like when they were moving in the airport, like background people, they went from like here to here in the next moment. They were like standing to diving in the next frame. It was quite choppy. And I don't know if obviously documentarians are not animators, and I don't know if this was the plan from the get-go or if our director had to adjust to meet the needs of his subject. But I wish the animation had been elevated just another step or so. And then I wondered when it came to those live action clips, they couldn't have been from Amin? Was this just like stock footage from the area and the time? That was just plugged in to give you some sort of semblance of real world Earth at that point, or what was going on? That's where I was a little confused with that live action footage plugged in. Overall, I thought Flea was fantastic. Obviously, getting this story of refugees is much needed, and getting a person of color that is from the LGBTQ plus community coming forward to tell this type of story is also really, really important. And what a story it is to tell. So, particularly if you enjoy documentaries, I think you have to see Flea. As soon as it becomes available, full price ticket, check this one out. Also, if you are into animation, I don't think you need to watch this for the animation itself. However, getting an animated documentary is special, and I think it should be celebrated. So no, this is not for children, so don't bring the whole family to come see Flea. However, if you are just someone who appreciates the medium, this is also a 100% full price ticket. Make sure to watch it. Also, obviously, if you are an immigrant yourself, if you're a refugee specifically, or if you're part of the rainbow community, such as I, this is another must watch. You have to see it. Really, anyone looking to just further their own internal empathy and broaden their own spectrum, this is one to seek out. So that was my review for Flea. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and click like down below and subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on all of my latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Flea? And what are some animated documentaries that you've seen and enjoyed? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.